Hey everybody, I'm Joel Russo. Welcome to episode 3 of The Ripple Effect. Today we are joined by some amazing guests, and we are sponsored as always by Old Bear Records and Emphasis Films, as well as UTR Media, which is a special sponsor for this episode. I'm joined as always by my very special co-host, Ian Zumbach. Ian, how are you?
Man, I'm doing great tonight. I'm excited.
I almost called you Zian.
Zian, that's okay. You can call me
That's
whatever
kind
you
of a
want.
cool name.
Just don't call me Sue. So, I'm excited too tonight. I'm excited to have good friends Trent and Shelley Monk from We Are the Monks joining us. Just want to say, if you entered the UTR Media giveaway, we're going to be announcing the winner at the end of the show. And we just want to thank you once again for joining us tonight. It's always exciting. If you've got questions, be sure to be sending them in. We'll be addressing those during the episode. And I think it's good that we jump right in. So I'm going to hand things over to my friend Joel.
Yeah, well, as he said, we are joined by husband and wife duo Trent and Shelley Monk, who make up the group We Are the Monks. Ladies and gentlemen, We Are the Monks. Joining us on the black couch today. The black couch is a thing.
It's nice.
It's beautiful.
It's not, yeah.
And I matched the blanket.
It's a gorgeous. You do match the blanket.
And there's a quality.
Well done.
There's a quality to this couch that we don't tell any of our guests. We're going to disclose to you. It's kind of like Wonder Woman's lasso. There's a truth component to this. So just you're going to be spilling your guts
Sweet.
tonight just by sitting on it.
Okay,
So,
good to
That was
know.
a great pull. That was,
feeling
did
clever.
you just think of that?
I did off
That
the
was
top
great.
of the dome.
Great.
Oh my God.
Well, I didn't. Now I feel a whole new level of responsibility with these questions. All right, so Trent and Shelley. So Trent and Shelley and I have a history a little bit. Trent and I have been writing for about 3 years or so, and I just produced their album, their new album called The Long Way Home, which we spent a long time on. We spent over a year working on it, and on top of that, we just went on tour together.
That's right.
I was playing with
Yeah.
Carrollton, and they were opening up for us in this October. And so anyway, we've gotten to know each other pretty well. And so one of the things that's most interesting about you guys right now is that you just decided to stop living in a house and instead just live on the road.
That's right.
And you have 2 kids.
Yeah.
So explain like bedtime to me.
Well, first, clearly we're insane.
Okay.
But bedtime is different every night. It's just,
Yeah.
especially on show days, it's just they go with the flow. But our tour style is like, we're not just like boom, 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 unless we're opening on a tour.
Yeah.
We're doing some weekend stuff, and then we have days in between where we're going to be stationary and have a little normalcy. So,
Yeah.
But I will say we utilize underneath desks in hotel rooms and closets.
Yep.
Desks
We
and
use,
closets.
Blankets and sometimes tacks. Strategically.
No, we don't.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
That's good. That's
To
good.
make
Yeah. So you're
partitions.
MacGyvering some pack and plays.
I wish
as it
we
were.
had we should have a little booklet of all the different setups, we call them. And Oliver gets very excited, our son. I'm very excited about his setup.
You could have a little
It's different
pamphlet
every
called The Portable Family.
Oh.
That's good.
Yeah,
Oh.
Yeah, we'll connect on that after because I
Yes,
think
yes.
that's a good idea.
I think I'm seeing some potential for that. So what went into this? What went into this decision? Like what I know that you've kind of had this has been like maybe on the horizon for a while.
Yeah.
What's led to this jumping off?
Yeah. It's something we wanted to do for a long time.
I mean, when we first got married, we were looking for an RV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's been on our heart. We feel like it's something that we've been destined to do for a long time. And it just so happened that timing-wise, our record came out, our schedule filled up, next year's booking up, and we were going to be gone from our residence anyway. And so it was, we don't own, it was rental, so it was time. Because, we're saving all that money. And that we weren't going to be there anyway. So
Yeah.
now we don't have the RV yet, so that's where the craziness happens.
Details.
We haven't had time to even look at them yet. So
Yeah.
right after Thanksgiving, we're jumping on in.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Man.
Are you gonna get like one of those cool like airbrushed like like murals on
Like
the
a
side of it?
wolf.
Yes.
Totally.
Like a
Oh
wolf.
yeah.
One can dream.
But we would totally airbrush a sponsor on the side if somebody wanted to do that.
Ooh,
Hey.
looking at you, Nike.
Yeah, Nike's going to sponsor this episode for sure. Oh, I love it.
I'm curious. I mean, you're a married couple. You're doing ministry together. You're writing songs and putting out albums together. But our audience and I myself too would be really interested to hear the story of how it is that you met
Yeah.
and what
Absolutely.
started this journey off.
Short story, mutual friends. Some friends you knew years ago knew us both and told us both separately y'all should meet. So we
Yeah.
finally agreed. I might have, back in the day, look at his MySpace page,
That's how long ago it was.
a long time ago. And so they orchestrated this,
Cookout.
a cookout. But everyone that was there as buffers, just in case we didn't hit it off, knew they were there for buffers.
Yeah,
So,
they all knew, everyone knew this was the meet and greet.
yeah.
And so, no pressure.
Yeah. How did you feel walking into that? It's like,
Well, I walked in and he answered the door.
I
and
answered the door. I don't know why. That's just not my house. I didn't answer the door. I don't know why I answered the door, but I was like, somebody's at the door.
The Lord pushed you.
And
maybe
I'm
you were
like,
you creeping her MySpace page and you're like, I
Oh,
gotta
yeah.
get her to do it.
Sure.
No, yeah. So when our friends were talking about her and showing me her pictures, I was like, nah, this is too good to be true. Like,
Aw.
if all of this that you're saying is true, I don't think somebody like that exists.
You're
But
funny.
then we ended up staying up all night and talking. I mean, the sun came up.
Yeah,
We're still talking.
We're
It was great.
Yeah.
So, the rest is
you
history.
guys are still talking.
That's
now.
cool.
Yeah, we've
To
spent
us right here.
We've spent almost 24/7 together since then, and we were
Wow.
still really like each other.
So how many years has it been? Y'all
Well,
been-
Since we
19.
met or married?
well, I guess
Ninth
since you
year
met.
of marriage.
9th year of marriage. Okay.
Yeah,
You know
Au-
the date.
August, we celebrated like meeting 10 years ago.
Wow. And then when did you move into that area of like, okay, let's start writing music together?
Well, I don't write.
Okay.
I'm not saying that I never will, because if you would have told me 9 years ago that I'd be on stage singing songs, I would have said, you crazy. But here I am.
Yeah, it's been a progression. When I asked her to marry me, it was like, hey, I basically said, would you quit your job, marry me, and hit the road, or no?
And I said, yeah. He said, also, I don't have money for a ring. And I was
Yeah,
like,
I
I'll
did.
get one.
I had no money. I wasn't touring. I was kind of in a break from music, and I was like, listen, I have zero money, and I'm asking you to quit your job and hit the road. She loved me a lot because she agreed.
Wow.
Yeah.
There you go.
When I talk about it and think about it, I'm like, golly, you were a man. That you
Trooper.
really were a trooper to just be like, sure, man.
With the
Yeah.
steady paycheck. And,
Yeah, man. So now, and another thing I know about you is that Shelly, you didn't really play music when you did get married, right? 9
no,
years
I mean,
ago.
I did piano lessons when I was
Yeah.
little. I did band from 6th grade to 12th grade.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing like this, no.
And when
Yeah.
we first met, we just in talking and playing around with different songs that we loved, I could tell she could sing. I noticed early on, like, she can sing, huh? But that was basically it. It was like,
Yeah.
I never thought, oh, she can sing, huh? Maybe she'll be up on stage with me someday. But it was a progression where I noticed she also had incredible rhythm. So I was like, hey, let's get you a cajon, and why don't you come up on stage with me? And each time I would ask her to do something like that, she'd be like, I don't.
I was
don't
fine
know."
being at the merch table,
Uh-huh.
wife, by my husband's music. And then it became,
Man, now so now if you fast forward to where she's confidently singing beautiful harmonies. Now she plays keys. We've got her on her feet. She plays
Yep.
keys
And percussion,
shaker,
yeah.
and we've got some other ideas up our sleeve for her other foot.
You only have so many feet on
Uh-huh.
stage.
Wow. Right.
Yeah,
I mean, you're taking that whole helpmate concept to like an entirely new level.
Yeah.
That's,
Listen, he thinks he's going to add something to my foot. That's what's funny.
Yeah, no, I think so. Yeah.
I can't wait to check in with you guys in like 2 years and find out
Yeah.
if what happened. So you guys, you didn't necessarily start this out of the blue, Trent. You were on tour with another group for years before this. When you started this together, aside from being married and doing it, together, like how is this different from your previous touring experiences and maybe even writing and recording experiences?
There's so many aspects of it that are different. First of all, getting to do something with my wife, my best friend, is incredible. Another aspect of the Monk and Eagle days. That was years ago, and I was still in the phase of life where I'm chasing a dream. This that we're doing now, I'm not chasing a dream. We're fulfilling a calling. I didn't feel that way so much back then. It was more in pursuit of getting that dream. And so that's drastically different. And it's allowing me to enjoy the moment so much more. No matter what, if 60 people show up in a 1,200 seat venue,
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the moment because not only are we traveling together, but we're traveling with our kids and pouring into their life every day in unique experiences of being on the road. So
Yeah.
it's drastically different, and I'm loving it.
Yeah. That's amazing. I've noticed from just riding together, right from the start, there wasn't a whole lot of pressure as far as like trying to write for radio, trying to get like hits and that kind of thing, which was refreshing for me because I think most people are kind of shooting for that kind of thing. But I remember you kind of talking about like you saying, "Hey, I've gotten to that level before, and I've experienced this kind of success," and you kind of knew that you didn't need that anymore, and that you knew that if that came great, that's helpful, but that wasn't you. Yeah, you weren't really compromising to get there, which was really, like I said, really refreshing, and through the whole album process too, it was really nice that we weren't thinking with that as kind of like the be all end all.
Yeah.
All right. You once again being on tour with your kids. Walk me through. All right, do they have a favorite restaurant? Is there something that they need to stop at?
Oh man.
Y'all know it. You know it.
Oh, it's
It's the Golden Arches.
listen.
McDonald's.
And let me explain something here.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's
When you're on the road at McDonald's of today, and speaking of sponsorship, McDonald's,
I ain't scared.
as far as trying to find healthy options when you're on the road,
Yeah.
it's really hard. McDonald's has some good options. I'm just gonna say,
Yeah,
they
okay.
really do. Where you can have a great salad or a chicken sandwich, and they're not terrible. So they're not terrible for you.
Yeah,
They taste great.
the sponsors
went
are just
out the
rolling.
window.
Yeah.
Man.
Hard sell.
Eat McDonald's. They're not terrible.
Yeah, great.
Oh, my mercy. But yes, so usually if we're not in a hotel that has breakfast available, we do McDonald's oatmeal.
Ooh, I do too.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah.
And then, we travel with snacks, but sometimes that's just not going to cut it with them. They need, so we do McDonald's or.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've become that.
And we don't stop and get out and eat. We're like, get your food, we're going to eat in the car.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
sometimes when you say that, people are like, oh,
Those poor
giving
kids.
them what?
McDonald's.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is new McDonald's.
It really is.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm curious, just like being a dad myself, like there's got to be something, like kids are on their own kind of plane a lot of the times, they'll come under our direction and guidance quite a bit, but sometimes they just like want to do what they want to do. Like, has there been like an experience that you can think of maybe on a past tour that you had to really juggle wearing a parent hat and
Oh, every
Yeah.
tour. Oh,
we
yeah.
we try to really be mindful and square away childcare ahead of time, but there's been some times where churches just think children they love children and have no problem with children being noisy, and it's a joyful noise, and I totally get that, and I'm there with them until I'm trying to be on stage. My mommy hat doesn't come off that
When our
easily.
son's running around with other kids and just
Yeah.
running in circles.
So that's been a balance where we've had to
Yeah.
say, get my kid out of here.
So what would be some practical, like to our audience, if they're like doing ministry and they're traveling and they have kids, what would be like a few practical things you could share with them that would be helpful to them in anticipation of getting on the road with their kids?
Well, like we said, help is always key, and planning ahead is it helps if you have your ducks in a row ahead of time, and so and so is going to be there to help us here, or for a few days, because that's you have to work. This is also a job, and most people don't take their kids to their job, and so you have to really learn how to balance that, and also engage with them and invest in their lives as well, and not just be dragging them around as luggage. And we're still learning as they get older. We're going to homeschool, so we're going to learn a lot during that phase as well. So
You're gonna learn how to read.
listen, I have to refresh. Not on reading, on algebra, or whatever, in capitals. Yes.
But I would also say, and this is to me, like, if someone's wanting to hit the road with their kids, like, chill out, And I have to tell that to myself, just kind of, would you agree?
No, you're
To tell myself to chill out a little bit.
what?
That's such a husband answer.
What? No.
No way.
What? No.
What do you mean chill out? Like,
Well,
As far as-
sometimes naps aren't going to happen at 12:30 p.m.
Right, okay.
Sometimes they're going to fall asleep at 2
Yeah.
and wake up at 5 and be cranky until 7, and it's just you're just going to have to deal with it, and it's fine.
Yeah.
And honestly, I find that if I see other people's kids losing their mind, it doesn't bother me. But for some reason, when it's my kids, I get all, even
Yeah, a
though no
little
one,
anxiety
no
there
one
for
really,
sure.
no one really cares. They're just kids. So.
I would also say to people that are thinking about like this kind of lifestyle, make sure that this is your calling. I think that's across the board. Whatever you do, do some soul searching and some prayer, and make sure that what you're doing is your calling, because then you're gonna make it work. And I believe that the Lord allows you to learn and to helps you in that process for sure, if
Yeah.
you are in your calling, and so.
yeah,
That's
Um,
awesome.
Good.
great. Well,
Yeah.
I think one last question for this segment. Reminder to all of our viewers out there: if you have any questions, please send them in. We will read the best ones.
Yes.
So
Pressure.
just make sure they're good. Just do us a favor. Just make sure they're good. They might go. Before the end of the episode, one last question, very, very important. When I was on road trips with my family in a minivan, one of the most crucial elements of passing the time was some kind of game that we would all play, whether it's, you got the alphabet game.
Yes.
You got license plate games,
Yep.
that kind of thing. Is there anything like that you guys have been able to do so far with the kids?
One that I love that Shelley came up with is we still rock the booklet of CDs.
Oh,
we
yes.
have
Ooh,
one.
okay, yeah.
And so she will just say,
Tell me when to stop.
yeah. And
then tell me.
You go pick a letter. And then,
That's on
Ooh.
iTunes, though.
oh, I did. That's,
Ooh,
part
okay.
of, that's the iTunes.
It's okay. Old school, new school.
Uh-huh.
I like it.
Merging,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well, so
And then
like,
get the CD out, go, give me
How
a
many-
number.
how many
and then
tracks?
You just like, well, I don't know
What's
what
it gonna
artist or
be?
what song.
yeah.
So then, so the kids will participate in that. And that's kind of a,
Nice.
That's a blast.
I like
That's
it.
cute.
Now I want to take a booklet of CDs in the car.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got to commend you guys too. I mean, what you're doing with bringing your kids out, I heard recently that things sometimes with parenting or with your kids, it's caught rather than taught, and what you're teaching them, whether it's ministry or just to pursue what their calling is, it's permeating their lives and saturating their hearts with something that's going to lead them in a way that I think will be to fulfill their purpose and calling life. So,
Give me Terry.
Thank you.
Thank you.
yeah, well done.
And thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Yeah.
always encouraging to hear as a parent. But Thank you.
Cool. Well, on that, we are going to take a quick break, and again, we want to thank you for tuning in to our third episode of The Ripple Effect with our guests, We Are the Monks. Later on in the episode, we're going to be telling you who has won the UTR giveaway, and we want to thank UTR again for being our sponsor for this episode. So stick around, we'll be right back.
Time slips by, and before you know it, days turn to years, and the unrecorded art becomes nothing but a memory, and sometimes even forgotten. My name is Ryan Clare. I'm not only a singer-songwriter, I'm a husband and a father. I'm a worship pastor dedicated to sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. It's the undying desire and passion within me to share my songs with the world. These are songs of hope.
Into the wall of the basement he calls home. Some days I feel like Moses wandering on and on through the wilderness, but the fire that burns within me carries on. And all I know is this race before me is leading me to the promised land, and all that's left for me to do is run. If you wanna find where you belong, sometimes you've gotta take the long way home. Yeah, if you
Hey everybody, we're back. This is one of your hosts, Joel Russo, for The Ripple Effect, episode 3 with We Are the Monks, brought to you by Old Bear Records, Emphasis Films, and this episode only special UTR Media. Thanks again, UTR Media, for sponsoring this episode. This next segment, we want to talk to the monks about the new album that I've spent a lot of time with them on this whole past year. And so because of that, we thought we should hand the reins over to my co-host, Ian Zumbach, to ask some questions about the Monks' new album, which we just saw a promo for, called The Long Way Home. So, Ian, take it away.
Hold on. I've been working on my jab, but it's not.
It's good. You're almost there. You're almost
Trying to get there.
Floyd Mayweather level.
Yes. Connor, I'm coming for you.
Don't say that. He might actually.
Hey, it might be good promo for the show. Let's just go
That's
with
true.
it.
There you go.
So,
All right.
So The Long Way Home, I've been getting to listen to this album a lot, and I actually heard Run a long time ago, actually, when you guys had first written it, and Joel had shared it with me. He's like, man, I've been writing with this guy, Trent, and check out this song. And I was like, man, this is great stuff.
Oh, thanks.
So I'm really excited that we're getting to talk about this. So, as Joel shared, he was a producer on the album. So the first thing that stuck out to me is, when songwriting, I kind of categorize songwriters. Some songwriters seem to tap into just like stories, that maybe they don't have any personal experience with, but they're just really prolific and good and able to just grab that content and create interesting songs. Some write out of a place of personal experience. Some write a combination of all of those. And for me, when I listened to your album, it felt like a lot of it was written from a very personal space. So when I was listening to say, for example, Through It All, there's like a tenderness to the song that just it seems that your marriage just kind of transcends through that song, or songs like Prodigal Son, the searching, or Run, searching the uncertainty of the future, and those kinds of things. So I guess my question in that context, when you wrote those songs, I do see a theme through it, and was that theme intentional, or is it something that really more kind of started to come together as you continued to songwrite for the album, and you saw the theme emerging?
It definitely wasn't really intentional. It did come from a personal space for sure. I've written more like that than anything, and as Joel and I were kind of in the middle of it, it then became apparent, like, okay, I'm starting to feel the theme emerge on its own here as we continue to write and record, and so it became very exciting when we started seeing that happen. And I've been doing this a long time, and I've done a lot of projects, and I've never done one like this with the sort of the luxury of the time that we had to we weren't in a rush to meet a deadline or anything, and so we could really let it breathe for a minute. And I think that really lended itself to the record, and is why it turned out the way it did, is because we could do that.
And it wasn't, we didn't start out to do a record.
No, well, no. When Joel and I were writing first, 3 years ago, no, we were just writing, and even when we wrote "Run," the first song that we wrote together was "Run," we didn't know what it was. So I was in a transition period myself. I don't know what's next for us as a band, for me as a songwriter. It was definitely a time of searching, and so we definitely weren't working on a record. So I'm glad it turned out that way.
Yeah, it's interesting, like thinking back, as you can only kind of see from the looking back, hindsight, how like so many of the songs that we wrote for the album ended up being in that same vein. So like the long way home, it comes from that song "Run." That line does. It's the pre-chorus of that song. The line being, if you want to find where you belong, sometimes you got to take the long way home. And so we both, that first day where we were writing, I had just moved to town.
Yeah.
And I think you had recently moved, right, to Nashville? Like,
We've been there a few
years, yeah. But we kind of instantly bonded on this kind of, a lot of people that come here probably have the same idea of thinking like, man, I just left wherever I'm from, and now I'm coming here, and it seems kind of crazy, and maybe people think I'm kind of crazy for doing it, and it seems like not a very good job security move to be a musician, especially if you're traveling or writing songs or whatever. But as we started to write some of these songs, that theme, which we didn't think about at all, like you said, like we had like "Run" and then "Meant to Be," which is also kind of a similar thing of saying like, looking back, I'm seeing where all those twists and turns took me, and I'm realizing that now because of those twists and turns, which at the time felt like chaos, now I see where I'm fitting in the master plan. And then also "Show Me the Way," which is the second or third song on the album, same kind of thing, saying like I'm pushing ahead even though I can't see what's right in front of me, and I know who I'm following rather than where I'm headed. All those, none of that was intentional. I think that's just kind of when we get together, that's kind of our just kind of what we both kind of were bonding on or feeling at the same time.
Sure.
So when we started picking songs for the album, it just started off with us having these songs that we'd written together, and so we kind of had ideas about those. But yeah, tell them like we tell them about how like we hadn't really thought about starting an album, and then what were we doing? We were kind of working on "Run" as just
Like a
kind of an
demo or
experiment.
something.
We started demoing the songs, and we'd been writing for quite some time together. And when you started your demoing process, honestly, Joel, I didn't know. I had no idea that you were a great producer.
I still don't know that.
I think you're a great producer, Joel. But when you started demoing these songs out, I was going, what? These sound awesome. This is crazy. And I don't know how it got brought up, but I remember you saying, hey, I'll do as much or as little as you want. And if you want to do a record, let's do a record. And I was like,
like,
I mean,
"What?"
we're almost kind of halfway there. Let's do it.
Yeah. And then it was like, we'll do 5 songs, we'll do 8 songs, we'll do 10 songs, we'll do 11 songs.
One more.
And I was like, is there one more? Because I just like even numbers. 11 is. It's fine.
Yeah.
But
we-
then I think this is his 11th project, which is very.
Oh.
Wow.
Wow.
Mind.
It's happening.
Yeah. If that's, I guess you would know. She knows those facts better than I do.
Yeah, I'll line it out, not right now, but yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. We'll table that.
That's cool. And you know, it seems like one of the themes that's interesting to me too is like in that, and it seems to be like even this my personal experience of doing music and in a career and ministry is seems to be like almost like the snapshot or portrait of, okay, I was in this season of life and that season stopped, and I thought like almost like it was like that was the end of a season, maybe not just a season, maybe music, I don't know, but then there's a starting up again. It seems like all of a sudden you're rediscovering like, oh no, there's more for me ahead. Would you mind speaking into that a little bit?
Man, absolutely. The thing that, the way that God moves in our life sometimes is just astonishing and special. I think He puts His little signature on things. And so when there was a 2.5 year period right as we were working on this record where we weren't sure if we were going to continue doing this or not. When we were waiting on our daughter to be born, we had a run of shows and you know, from Missouri to South Dakota and some other, and that was our last run of shows of regular, consistent touring. And we came off the road. We were going to take a few months off, and it turned into about 2.5 years. And really wasn't sure if we were going to. Again, we were willing to do anything. Just we want to be in Your will, God. And so as the album started coming together, and then as our schedule filled up, when we hit the road 2.5 months ago, we were in the middle of this run of shows, and I realized it hit me. This is the exact run of shows that we ended on. The exact cities, the exact routing that
Exact churches.
the exact churches that we ended on when we came off the road.
Wow.
And it was a moment that hit me like God saying, I got you. I've got this. And even when you don't know what's ahead, he's moving and he's orchestrating it. And so it was a beautiful moment for me to just feel like God was there saying, see, you know, now keep trusting me.
That's powerful.
And keep running that race, and you know, see what happens.
That's so awesome.
You gave me a Kleenex.
And that's, I think, you know, it reminds me of a saying I've heard, and you guys might have heard it before. So you can't put a period where God puts a comma in your life. You know?
Ooh.
And so,
That's
good.
good.
I don't know if I've heard that. I like that. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
Man.
Well, back to, I had a question about the production because as I've been listening to it, you know, I know some of Joel's influences, and I've been hearing things. You know, when you reference certain albums that you love, it has a tendency to influence some of the creative and production aesthetics and approach that you take in creating an album. So I was just curious for all of you guys, if there are particular albums or artists that maybe have been references or influences that helped influence the aesthetic and some of the production decisions that you made on the project.
You know, I think it would have to all be in there. We were just talking. Joel was listening to some kind of heavy metal back in the day, and
Yeah.
you know,
It's in there.
I know I've had a wide range of influence that go into it. Starting back with, there was a season when I was in high school that all I listened to was Harry Connick Jr. And it was like I kind of just said, that's it for me. This is it for me, man. I found it. You know, just go through those seasons, and then go through another season of like it's just all about John Mayer right now, you know. And so I think all that goes into it. It definitely does. We could probably go on for hours on just different artists.
There were a few specific ones too. Like I remember, I think it was a song, Carry You. There was, I think it was a Miranda Lambert song
Oh yeah.
where it was a very specific kind of production.
Uh huh.
I don't remember what song it was, but
Yeah. Yeah.
And then there was this-
yeah, I forget. But
there
there
was
was a
this-
certain guitar.
yeah.
Just, it was very.
Like, oh, I
intimate
like
with
this kind of
guitar, yeah.
vibe, and we
That was
grabbed
on a
that.
movie that the kids liked.
Oh yeah, there was another moment. Yeah. There's a movie called, what was the movie called?
Oh, Rock Dog.
Rock Dog.
That sounds
Oh,
awesome.
yeah, I remember
And-
this. Yeah.
And there was a song on there, and
Oh, it's so good.
there's a production element on that song. And I was like, Joel, this is gonna sound really goofy, but I need you to pull up YouTube, and we're gonna watch some cartoons. And I'm gonna
This
show
did
you.
happen.
I'm gonna show you some things. I'm gonna
Yeah.
point out some parts about this that I like. And we actually did use some ideas out of that.
Yeah, what was it?
It
What
was
song
on.
that?
It's the movie's trailer
Show Me
song.
the Way.
But yeah, it was.
Show
put
Me
on
the Way.
The ooze
Okay.
Yeah.
At the beginning.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, Rock Dog.
Rock Dog.
It's amazing. I'll always, every time I see that movie now, I'll think about,
Yeah.
yeah, all the many times I've seen it.
And I have to say personally, like as I've been listening, like I listen to vocals a lot when I'm listening to albums. First of all, your vocal performances on the album
Thank
are
you.
wonderful. You know,
Thank you.
really, really
Joel.
beautiful.
Shelley, get closer to the mic.
She did need to get close to the
They,
mic.
they
But
sound
she
great.
did. So.
But particularly Mountaintops, love the I don't know what mic you guys used for that or reverb you put on it, but it just
That's
I loved it. Loved it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was, we're excited about that song. It's kind of become a live anyway. It's a standout. People are asking about that particular tune more than any other right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
That's awesome.
So I guess next question I'd have would be in terms of like we learn lessons as we're going through this. We learn lessons in creating and writing for albums. We learn lessons on the road. We learn life lessons. I guess what is one lesson that you've learned that didn't come through a success that you could share with our audience, but came through technically like a failure that you think was actually turned out to be like a huge win
Yeah.
for the Monks?
I think for me, I would say just perspective, in that I mentioned earlier that we're not in this chasing a dream, but rather fulfilling a calling. And that's been something that's I've learned out of not necessarily failure, but in the moment, the 2.5 years of uncertainty was starting to feel like failure. But that brought me a lot of perspective in being able to still pursue this ministry and calling rather than pursuing a dream. So I've learned a great deal during that time, and I still continue to, as you know, and it helps you to not compare to other artists. You know, I had another artist friend asked, I mean, how do you not compare to other artists? I mean, we all struggle with that. And I'm like, I did, but I spent a lot of years doing that, and I know I don't want to do that anymore because I'm not pursuing the same kind of thing that they're pursuing. I'm fulfilling a calling right now. So I feel like that's definitely what I've learned. What would you say?
Oh, I'm just gonna have to echo what you said. I was gonna say you may not want me to say this, but I don't care. We did, even though we had this record kind of complete, we did decide to do a Kickstarter campaign,
Oh,
and
yeah,
it was like maybe our third or fourth Kickstarter. You did a couple as Trent Monk. We did one for We're the Monks. So
And all of those were successful.
all of those were funded, and so we kind of went into it thinking, this will be funded. I mean, not like that, but it failed miserably.
Yeah, it wasn't like it was really. Now we can look back and it's another God thing. Of this particular campaign was for a specific publicist campaign that we'd lined out, and in the middle of the campaign, I started feeling like, God, did we jump the gun on this? Should I have not committed to this specific thing? And so my prayer was, well, if this isn't meant to be, it needs to be clear. And it wasn't even close. It was very clear.
So there's a moment of kind of swallowing your pride and just kind of having to, okay.
Yeah.
But we're thankful. I mean,
We've certainly learned
Yeah.
a lot from that. Yeah.
And the thing that's amazing about it, and this I guess would be an encouragement to anybody out there who has Kickstarter and you're feeling like you're not getting the support that you're hoping for. I think, God in his providence, and he put you guys on one of the best tours, get you in front of major label type of exposure, being on the road with Carrollton. He's connected you guys with incredible media resources, to get your album out there. And so there's been buzz around the album, and it just it's pretty cool from the outside looking in that he'll provide in other ways to get you the exposure that he wills and purposes for you to have.
That's
So it's really
exciting
good.
because it's when you feel like God is in it, man. There's not a better joy or a peace that you'll find when you feel like you're really in the midst of God's will, man. There's such peace there. Yeah.
Good deal. Awesome.
Yeah.
So then, I guess the final question for this segment that I would like to ask is, what would Trent and Shelley tell a younger Trent and Shelley that would be really valuable to them as artists getting started in producing and writing a record?
Well, you've been doing this for how long?
20 years.
So when people say, how long have you been doing this on the road? And he says 20 years, I always say, he started when he was 4.
Yes, because I look 24.
Classic.
I mean, it kills. People love it. But, so you've been doing this a lot longer. So for me personally, like I said, if you told me I'd be doing this, no. I would tell myself, it's okay, get closer to the mic. It
awesome.
sounds much better when they're not having to crank
Great
it up.
advice.
I would tell my younger self and younger artists to, whatever kind of work ethic you have, crank it up to 10 and be ready to work. I was one of those that got into it and got a record deal early on, and for whatever reason, my mindset was like, cool, now I can coast. And I can just write songs and everyone else around is going to do all the work. And I would tell that younger me, that's silly. You need to get up every day and be willing to work for this, because no one else is going to do it for you. Even when you're on a label, especially when you're independent, which we are now, you need to work. So that's what I would most certainly say to younger artists.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
That's great. You could talk into that too, just recently being on a major label yourself.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think the way that I think we've always talked about in Carrollton or told people about having like a label relationship. It's not even a label relationship. You could say this about having a booking agency. You could say this about having a manager. I don't know, any kind of supportive relationship that helps you. I think the danger is that you look at it as just a like you said, like you can just coast. It's a jetpack.
Yeah,
and
right.
it's just going to propel you. And the best way to look at it, and I'm stealing someone else's words here, who I don't know. I can't attribute the quote accurately, so I'm sorry. But it's basically before you have, let's say, a record label, it's like you're digging a hole in the ground with your hands, and the record company kind of comes along and gives you a shovel. That's kind of what it is. You have to still do the work. You still have to dig that hole, so it doesn't take any of the responsibility off of you or the work off of you, but because you have a capable tool in your hand, you're now able to move a lot more dirt. And so to me, that's kind of what it's all about. And so when you have a relationship like that in the industry, it can be super helpful in the same way that digging a hole with your hands is not super fun and not super effective. But you would be pretty stupid for someone to give you a shovel and then you'd be like, sweet. And then
Shovel, do the work for
shovel,
me.
yeah, just leave it on the ground and expect that hole to dig itself. So yeah, it's always gonna happen. So we have one viewer question coming in from James Rudd. How have previous projects affected this project?
Oh man.
Maybe your experience
James.
through previous recording.
Well, listen, I'll go back to after Monk and Eagle I had another period of time where I stepped away from music, and it was uncertain if I wanted to even keep doing it, and then started to feel the stirring again. And Shelley actually pulled out my very first project that I'd ever done, which I hadn't listened to in years, and
I put it on in the car, and this was, he had stopped music and was actually enrolled in culinary school. He cooks too. And I put it in, and I love the songs, and you said, and I remember this night like it was yesterday, he said, I don't even know who that is anymore.
yeah, and but I listened to it that night, and I went, man, from a different perspective, I was sort of moved at being removed from it, listening to it almost as a third party. Just wow, that person singing there, and those, very beginning stages of songwriting. But I was moved by it and thought, man, that person is moving me. Like, even though it was me, but I was influenced. Like, I want to keep doing this.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy,
Wow.
can you guys write a song about that? Like driving in a car, I don't know who that is anymore. It just seems like that's
Ooh,
so
that is
amazing.
Oh,
Brilliant.
That is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, I'm gonna chew on that.
And
That's something that, shout out to Jordan Bailey, Carrollton bass player, good friend. We talked about recently how the longer you do this, sometimes when you're up at night and you're trying to like stay awake driving, one of the best ways to stay awake is to listen to the old, like the stuff that you made a long time ago, because it's such this kind of like live wire connection straight into your memory.
Wow.
That's a good idea.
And so it holds your attention for that reason, I think, way more than like a podcast or a newer recording.
I'm gonna try that.
That's a life hack. So if any of you out there who have been recording music long enough for that to be possible, it's pretty effective.
Yeah.
From my experience.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
try it next time we have those,
long drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some days we get into the 15-hour drives.
Yeah.
I always try to put in your old stuff, and you turn me down.
Listen, there are days I just don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. When I'm invested in this new record, I don't want to. It's hard for me to listen to older stuff for some reason. It's
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a thing.
Yeah.
Complicated.
Those are deep feelings, and they're deep. Yeah.
We actually have one more question, and then we're going to take a break here. So this question is from Carolyn Davidson, and her question is, tell us about the first time the two of you officially performed together, and what about that performance made you want to keep going? Another great
She
question.
didn't
I
want to keep going.
listen
after the first time.
when we first started, and I sat on a cajon and did like simple rhythms, nothing fancy.
she only
I did shaker and I did tambourine with my foot, and I would come up in the middle of his set. It
She'd
was
do
still
what,
Trent
3
Monk.
songs?
I would do 4 songs.
4 songs.
So it would be this awkward like, and now my wife's gonna come join me, and I'd be like, hey everybody, and then I'd be like, and now I'm leaving. It was so disjointed and weird.
Yeah, that first show I was like, well, that didn't work.
The second show, I hit the mic with my shaker, and I was just like, oh! It was awful. And I mean, I probably would have been like, I don't want to do this anymore, but
Yeah, so that was the moment for me. Like, well, I'm going to have to convince her to learn the other songs.
remember, I used to have notes on the floor like, okay,
Yeah.
boom, tap, pause, tap.
That was her rhythm. Boom, tap, pause, tap. Like that's how she wrote it out.
Which is amazing because
Yeah.
you have you're a player that's like has this deep, soulful pocket playing, so like you really had to step up your game to play this guy.
she's got natural rhythm.
Well, no, he had to teach me the term pocket on one of the Christmas songs we do. He's like, just sit back in that pocket,
Yeah.
whatever.
We recorded a song years ago with a guy I've worked with before, Ed Cash, very very well known producer.
Oh, that guy?
I'm sure they know.
And so we went in and she did the shaker and did the whole song, and Ed was like, that was the whole that was.
I believe he called me Groove Master. I mean,
He was like that.
Wow.
He was like, the drummers that have come in, I can't get them to do that. That was incredible.
okay.
Just to put this in context, guys, Ed Cash wrote "How Great Is Our God" and it's written for probably every huge Christian song that's ever been. So if Ed Cash calls Shelley the Groove Master, then
by our record.
respect. Yeah, exactly.
Shout out to Ed. He's probably watching.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Sure. He tunes into all of our deals.
Yeah. Well, with that, guys, we want to thank you once again for tuning in to The Ripple Effect. And we're going to take one more commercial break and come back and finish up. If you entered that UTR giveaway, stay tuned. We're going to announce that in the next segment. We're going to get this right here. And this shirt right here, special UTR shirt, not the one I'm wearing, but one that's coming directly from UTR. So, guys, thanks again for tuning in. We'll be right back with you in a moment.
What can wash away my sin? Nothing but the blood of Jesus. What can make me whole again? Nothing but the blood of Jesus. Thou in me dwelling, and I with thee one. Open my eyes to see what your eyes see. Open my heart to follow where you lead. Riches I heed not your land. This world may be a fallen place, blind to hope, in need of grace. Though the storms they seldom cease, you will harbor me in peace. Through the trials of this age, you are the friend who stills the waves. When my fears against me rise, I will set my eyes on you.
Hey, welcome back to The Ripple Effect. Here we are in our last segment of our third episode with We Are the Monks, sponsored by Old Bear Records and Emphasis Films, brought to you specially today by UTR Media. Stick around, we are about to give away that t-shirt and CD. I can almost smell the CD.
What's
I
it
can't
smell
actually
like?
smell it. It's right there. It's fresh off the presses. As always, we like to end our time together with our interviewees by asking them about what we call the ripple effect, what the show is basically named after. As a pebble is dropped into a pond and creates ripples. We're talking about our content being dropped into the world and creating influence based off of the quality of the content itself and how high it's dropped, the height that it's dropped from. Kind of butchered that. I'm sorry. Throw it on over to Ian.
I was tracking.
He's going to ask them about that.
I was tracking, and
Thank you.
I just need to make a quick clarifier. I'm going off script a little bit, guys.
yeah.
I just said in the last segment that we're giving away this T-shirt. It's actually we're giving away this T-shirt design. It's not my T-shirt that we're giving away. So I just need to clarify. UTR is going to send you the T-shirt directly. So,
Okay. So
Okay.
you don't have to worry about
Yeah, there's not going to
if
be
Ian uses a fabric softener that you.
that you don't like.
Yeah. Okay.
You're safe.
That's good to know.
Good.
Yep. So now that we've gotten that cleared up, I wouldn't be able to go to sleep tonight if we hadn't cleared that up.
That's good.
So, ripple effect. The pebble, the rock, the boulder, possibly. Your content,
Yeah.
the album, the Long Way Home. What do you think is the strength of that content that you have, like as artists?
Well, I think our hope is that it's just encourages people in their walk, in their if they're in a valley, or whether they're in a valley or they're celebrating a mountaintop moment, that it's brings them encouragement in both of those moments, and helps them ultimately get closer in their walk with God, and so that is the main purpose of the content and why we live on the road. Well, we're gypsy souls too. We
Yeah,
love the road.
we've been in Nashville for 2 days, and I'm like, okay, let's get going. Feels weird.
Yeah. And also, I'd say to that too, like, I think a real common theme of all the songs on the album, I think, which I think is really strong, is that many of them acknowledge the fact that sometimes suffering or sometimes difficulty has a place. Especially, we were talking about Mountaintop, talking about that and saying, the mountaintops where you'll find me because I have walked through the valley. This thought of we've talked about this a little bit before, but that just the thought of how we don't want to whitewash the Christian experience. We don't want to whitewash just life in general, and just sing about that and sing about. Sometimes it's not even helpful for people to hear about that. Oh, it's all going to be better. And it's all going to be worth it. Sometimes it's sometimes it's worth hearing, like, hey, like, this is part of life. Like, part of life is having to deal with really difficult things, and just knowing that in the end it will have a purpose, even if it takes a long time for it to get there. And I think with a lot of songs, I think about the song "Carry You," the song "Meant to Be," the song "Prodigal Son." Like, a lot of these songs have that through line of real honesty. So I would say, if I could say, as someone who wrote some of the songs, but not all of them, like, if I look at your songs on this project and I see that as a real strength, something that people can really relate to, and it meets them where they're at, not necessarily where maybe they want to be or they wish they were, but it meets them at that sometimes difficult spot, which
Absolutely.
I think is a strength.
Yeah. Which is a, again, in our hope that in those moments they're encouraged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also see what traveling as a family ministers to people.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's wild.
And it's not lost on me what we ask of our children. I'm going to get emotional. They leave their friends here, and then they go to a new church, and they make new friends, and they have to leave them. And so I pray that it develops a strong character, but
Yeah.
people see that, and they respond to it.
Sure.
Yep.
So powerful.
Yeah, it's encouraging to know that God is using the family unit to minister, not just the record or a song. And that feels pretty awesome.
That's great.
To be in the middle of that.
I also feel like I need to tell people I'm not a crybaby, right? Can we just get that out in the open? It's happened a couple times.
She's a cry adult.
I'm a cry
Yes.
adult. Thank you.
Full-grown cry.
Clarification.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Very
Trent
good.
sent an email to us before, and he said, "Shelley's probably going to cry tonight,
bit
guys.
of a-
Just want to." I'm kidding. You didn't
Listen,
send
that's what I
that
do. That's what I do.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, I guess the second part of that. So we've got the pebble, the content, and I can affirm the strength of that. It's been ministering to me, encouraging me too. The pebble gets thrown up in the air, gets thrown into the pond. Share with us, I guess, some people or some ways in which you think you've received help getting that pebble
Yeah.
out in that pond.
Absolutely. Well, first of the obvious is Joel. I mean, his willingness to really invest in this record, his time and his talent. We wouldn't have a record had he not done that. Also, when we're able to go on the road with him and Carrollton, that that helps us. That those kind of things help us more than I think people realize. Obviously, to have a record done is very, very valuable asset to have. But when we get in front of other people and do them live, that helps us so much. I mean, from that tour that we did with them, we're those people are bringing us back next year.
Awesome.
A whole lot of them. And so it goes a long way when you have people like that investing in you. So we're very grateful.
That's
So,
great.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So then the third thing, and we've already kind of talked about this a little bit, but I guess beyond what's already being done presently and has been done so far with the album, what way do you hope that your music will create a ripple effect in the lives of others going forward?
Well, we've played in front of thousands. We've played in front of 5, and we always pray before the show. And we honestly, sure, it's more fun playing songs for 1,000 people, but our prayer is that whoever's there is meant to be there, and someone will get something. Whether that's they come up to the merch table and share a tidbit about a song that reached them, or they'll send a Facebook message after the fact, or
Yeah.
they'll buy CDs to support us and give away stocking stuffers or whatever.
And I also know that this record and this phase of what we're doing, I feel like it's going to it's going to have a long burn, and that we're not going to be an overnight success. I don't feel like somebody's going to scoop us up and we're going to become superstars. I don't even really want that. But I think along the way there's going to be more folks like Joel that say, "I'm going to help you." There's and we're excited to see what's around each corner with that, and the plans that unfold with this record. And so we're encouraged and happy to be doing what we're doing, and feel like it's making a little bit of a ripple when we're out. So
See
see.
what he did there?
We have another viewer question coming in. This one's from Bradley Parks. It says it's a question for Shelley.
Hey,
Interesting.
What up, Bradley?
what hair product do you use?
I've listened to your latest album, and I so appreciate the honesty. Are there ever times where Trent is writing a song that is so honest it is difficult to share with the world?
For me,
Or it could be for both of you, but for you first.
he usually shares everything with me, although there is one that he has started about our daughter that he can't seem to finish.
Okay.
Because we talk about, I'm not going to cry. We
No, you were crying.
it's happening.
This is just a ploy.
We talk about, that our son, it's just something different about a daughter marrying. And so we
Yeah.
talk about him giving her away one day. Look at me holding it together. And he started to write a song about that, but seems to not.
Oh,
I'll be like, you need to finish that. And he's
it's-
like, nope.
I will. And that's not something that's just so personal that it's hard to share. That's just hard for me to. It's
Wrap
hard
your
for me
brain
to.
around.
Yeah. So, and I don't think there's been any songs that I can think of that have been so personal that I'm afraid to put it out there.
Yeah.
I don't. And I don't know. Yeah. I think if there's something that personal, I just don't write it. I don't need to know this about me or my.
Well, and I think too, I think if you're a singer-songwriter or just a songwriter, I think there's also something, there's something inherent in that choice of your, as far as life choice,
Yeah.
that lends itself to that most people that do write songs that put them out that either sing them themselves or have other people sing them, or write poetry or write literature or whatever, that they know they're okay with it on a certain level. They
Yeah.
know that someone's going to be kind of hearing these, maybe their insecurities, maybe their struggles or weaknesses that they have, and so I think I'm imagining there are probably a lot of people out there that just heard what you said and thought, like, whoa, like, what are you talking about? I wouldn't want anyone to know any of this stuff about me, any of the stuff, that you share in your album. So I think there is something there that, that's kind of just inherent as being like an artist or a writer, that you're kind of a little bit okay with it, maybe more than an average person, because you have that bug. You want to put that into the world and
Absolutely.
and share it
I
with people.
also will, from time to time, listen to his old stuff and then this current
Yeah.
record, and just vocally, he's lived some life. I can just hear it. It's
Yeah,
not
then
like,
it sounds totally different
yeah.
to me. It's just, yeah.
Wow.
Which is 20 years of doing this, yes.
Sure. Yeah.
That'll do.
Yeah. Trent has a very timid, delicate voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Yes.
it changes a lot over the years. Yeah. Totally.
I've never been called timid with my. I used to get in trouble in school, and I had teachers say, "Trent, I don't think you understand. Your voice carries." What does it carry, Miss So-so? I don't understand.
Carry me where?
Basically, please be quiet.
You're
You're so loud.
Yeah, please.
Sounds
Nice.
like our
Sounds like the start of like a major motion picture movie. Like, you know, you see
Oh,
little
yeah.
Trent as a kid. And
Yeah.
see a
I'm pretty
teacher
sure
in his
that's the
face, like,
first scene from that Freddie Mercury movie that just came out. Where,
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
No, I was just joking.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
saying-
I didn't see that.
Well,
His teacher's like,
yeah, that-
Freddie, your voice carries.
I don't think there's going to be a Trent Monk movie, but if there ever is, it's going to be the.
That'll be the opening.
That'll be the opening scene. Great. That should actually be probably a question that we ask every guest, which is, in the inevitable
Oh, this is great.
biopic of your life, what do you want the opening scene to be?
And who's going to play the character? Guys, you're watching something happen that's never happened before on Ripple Effect, so you're watching some very cool stuff right now.
I think, we're definitely going to
Yeah.
ask everybody this from now on.
So who's going to
Love
play
it.
Trent and Shelley in your major motion picture?
Oh. Reese Witherspoon, obviously.
Yay! Cool. I like that.
And
I don't know.
Joaquin Phoenix? I don't know.
Ooh.
Has that been done
Ooh,
before?
I like it.
Man, he played Johnny Cash.
He's
You have kind of a
Johnny
Johnny
Cash.
Cash
Oh,
vibe.
yeah.
Well,
Okay.
and
Johnny
Reese
Cash.
played June Carter Cash.
Oh.
I was joking and it failed miserably.
Failed miserably. No, it didn't fail. It was a home run.
Yeah, cool.
Everybody
I
wins.
haven't-
Everybody gets a
John
trophy.
I think John Hamm would play Trent.
Okay.
And I think Reese Witherspoon would be
John
a
Hamm.
serviceable
Who's
Shelley
John
for sure.
Hamm?
Mad Men?
John
Have
Mad
Hamm.
Men.
John
you ever
Hamm.
seen Mad Men?
He's a cool dude. I'll
Everyone
take
just ignore the fact that Ian doesn't know who John Hamm is.
Sorry,
and
guys.
it. Do you?
we'll come back to that later.
At shows or something, you'll have people go, "You look like so and so."
You get
And
Elvis
it's like,
a lot.
I was
I got
thinking
somebody
that
the
too.
other night, and it's like the guy brought me his phone and showed me the actor, and I was like, "Oh, thanks."
It was better than what I get sometimes.
Yeah, you got somebody's T-shirt, like a
I'm
kid's
sorry, but
T-shirt,
you just
and
look like my
she showed us
son's
this
t-shirt, and I was
picture.
just like, don't
Like,
look that
that
old. Oh my God.
I was like, "That does not look like my wife. Go away with this. What are you doing?"
But I don't
Out
get
of
my
my
feelings
sight.
fine. It was fine.
Great.
Well, I tell you, it's been great spending time with you guys tonight. I just have to affirm, just the things that you've been saying. Your album does carry with it an authority that I think when you're being authentic and genuine about your faith and the way that you're following God, it will transcend through the songs, and you're teaching people and you're discipling people, mentoring people without even realizing it, just by being yourself. So I think
Thank
your
you.
album is strengthening marriages and blessing parents to step up and be good parents and teach them good principles and good life skills. So
Well, thank you.
appreciate you guys.
Appreciate you all, man. This is
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fun.
So, having said that, this is a point where we got to tell our UTR giveaway winner. So we do need anybody in the studio here can give us a little bit of a drum roll. For the t-shirt and the CD, our winner is Kevin Leftwich. Kevin Leftwich.
Kevin Leftwich.
You are the winner. Thanks UTR Media and Dave Trout for donating t-shirt and the We Are the Monks CD. Kevin will get you that as soon as possible. We'll direct message you right through the Ripple Effect Instagram account. And also we'd like to take a moment to be able to allow Trent and Shelley to promote anything that they have coming up, and Joel as well. So Trent and Shelley, why don't you start off with what's...
Well, obviously
Something
the
you want to
record is available on iTunes. We also have a small Christmas tour that we're doing coming up, and we are booking for next year. That's starting to come together. So that's always, if there's anyone interested, shoot us a message.
How can you deny a request like that with a face like that? I mean, just
Yeah.
get that email in.
Smiling Elvis face over there, just asking you for.
That's right. Oh,
The only thing that would have made that better is you had like a baby in your arms and you like kissed its head and then asked for the...
ask for
the
the
booking.
bookings
Yeah.
that we must feed the child.
Feed our children.
Child.
Please, money for the ball.
This is good. We should have had you had your children on here.
Oh, that
I'm seeing this now. Yeah.
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 Okay. That's next time.
Well, Joel, my friend, what is going on in your
Yeah.
world that you want to promote?
Not too much as far as I just ended with Carrollton a couple weekends ago, and I'm gonna be moving on and staying here and producing and writing in Nashville from now on. But I just want to continue to plug those guys.
Yeah.
And have them out to your venue or church or whatever, and continue to support the guys in Carrollton. I don't know, the album that we did together, the We Are the Monks, The Long Way Home, and keep your eyes open. I'll be working on some more stuff coming up. The Ripple Effect companion podcast,
Yes.
which is called The Ripple. You can find it on iTunes. First episode's out. Second episode's coming up soon. It should be coming out within 2 weeks of this. So
Yes.
keep your eyes open for episode 2 of just Ian and I talking about songwriting and that kind of thing. It's a different thing than this.
Yep.
It's not just the audio from this or anything. It's a separate conversation. Kind of looking maybe a bit more behind the scenes into nuts and bolts. And more of just the two of us having a conversation about how we approach songwriting and producing and life. And so keep your eyes open for that. That's going to be, I think we've been hearing great responses to the first episode, and people are digging it. And so,
So be sure to subscribe and rate it for us too. That would be much appreciated.
yes, please.
We listened and loved it
So good.
to your first episode.
I said
Yes.
y'all have very good podcasty voices.
Yes. You do.
Probably the highest compliment I've ever
Totally.
made.
Totally.
Thank you. Ian, what do you have?
Well, I guess for us, what we've been doing on the Ripple Effect, we do have a YouTube channel set up. So if you have missed any of the previous episodes, we archive those, and this episode will be on there now too. So please go to the YouTube channel and subscribe to that channel, and check out the previous episodes that we've had. Also, like Joel said, the Ripple Podcast. And if you haven't been checking out what's been going on with Old Bear Records, definitely visit their Instagram account at Old Bear Records and check out their merch store and everything that's been going on there. And we would all appreciate it as well for any of the projects that we're involved with. If you are on Spotify, to follow us on Spotify and add our songs to your playlists. If you like them, we would appreciate that as well. So again, thank you guys for joining us. It's been a great episode. And thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next month. We actually have a guest lined up already for next month. A good friend of ours. You think it's okay to
Drop the
drop
bomb.
it? We're going to have Weston Skaggs on next month's Ripple Effect show. We're going to be doing some coverage of his Christmas album, so it'll be almost like a Christmas episode of the Ripple Effect. So we're looking forward to that. So be sure to stay connected to us on our social media pages. Check out what's been going on. And again, we appreciate you guys. And we have to end this episode like we end every episode.
With our catchphrase.
Catchphrase.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
Plop,
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 plop, little pebbles. See you next time.